These are my predictions for the Championship playoffs. So, of course, the Championship playoffs start tonight, Hull versus Millwall, then Middlesbrough versus Southampton, and then, of course, the return legs on Monday and Tuesday to see who gets to the final. So I'm going to predict who gets through each semi-final, of course, who wins that final. As always, if you enjoy this sort of content, leave this video a like, drop me a follow. But let's just get straight into it, starting with Hull versus Millwall. Of course, as Millwall finished higher, they get the away leg first and the home leg second. So it all kicks off tonight at the MKM Stadium. Millwall are on some decent form, of course, missing out on automatics on the last day of the season, whereas Hull, of course, their only win in the last 5 is the one that secured the playoffs. But I think last year with Sunderland, it proved that the playoffs isn't all about form. I think it is a big pop. I think the playoffs is more about moments than form. You just need them sort of players that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck, of course, step up to the mark. For Hull, you might be looking at the players like McBurney and Gelhardt to deliver their goals like they have all season. Whereas for Millwall, you might look at the defensive brilliance of Kramer and Cooper, or maybe someone like an Aziz and Ivanovic, or even like a Barry Bannon who's been there, done that. But I think one thing's for certain, I think this will be a close game between two decent teams. I think Hull tonight will take the first leg. I'm going for a 2-1. But then I think at the Den, I think Millwall will turn it around and win 3-1, which means Millwall win this tie 4-3 on aggregate and of course gets to that final. The second semi-final is Middlesbrough versus Southampton. Of course, the big news coming out of that is that coach spying on Middlesbrough. Whether it's true, whether something will get done, I don't know. Of course, as a president, with the lead game. But if anything was to get done, it's likely just a 5 for Southampton, nothing more. But it's an interesting dynamic coming to this game. Of course, it could have an extra level of atmosphere, because I'm sure the Middlesbrough fans will be riled up, of course, with that incident. After a drop-off in form to drop out of the top 2, of course, Middlesbrough picked up a bit more now. Whereas for Southampton, a couple of draws, but of course, they're still unbeaten in quite a while in the league. But you'd say out of these two teams, it is Southampton that is on the better form. If you're looking for game changers and players that can produce moments, of course, you've got like Cienza and Whittaker. I think both of them are capable to step up and grab the game by the scruff of the neck. I mean, especially Leo Cienza, he's been a joy to watch this season, 7 goals, 10 assists. And I think Middlesbrough, with the disappointment of Bottle and the automatics, will continue into playoffs. I can see them losing the home leg 2-1 and then the away leg 2-0, which means that Southampton, with their brilliance, go through to the final 4-1 aggregate. So then that leaves us with the final of Millwall versus Southampton, 3rd versus 4th, and that would leave a brilliant matchup. Of course, Millwall, brilliant defensive wise, then Southampton, a brilliant attacking. More often than not in the playoff final, it's usually 3rd versus 4th. I think it's the same case this year, but it's not always the 3rd place team that goes up as seen last year. It'd be such an interesting match tactically to watch, of course, like Cienza against Kramer at right back, and there could be some brilliant battles, of course. It could be a very close game between the top 2 teams in the playoffs. I think it'd be a very tight game. I think it could even go to extra time. I think Millwall would take the lead, then Southampton peg them back to make it 1-1 in normal time. Then I think Southampton will bag the winner in extra time to win 2-1. I just think Southampton, of course, they've been in the Premier League, got that experience of them players in the big moments, and of course winning a playoff final 2 or 3 years ago definitely plays into their favour in my opinion, because when you're playing at Wembley, of course the atmosphere is a big thing to deal with, and I think the Southampton players have more big game experience that'll seep through, especially in extra time. But each one of them, it's a very tough one to call, and that's my prediction, guys. Of course, it could all change if other teams win the semi-finals, but that's just my personal opinion of what I think will happen. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen in the Championship playoffs.